Good evening, welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines here in the south. Don't be trapped on the web. Why children as young as 3 are being taught to avoid the dangers of the internet.
End this gridlock. New demands for urgent improvements to one of the region's busiest trunk routes.
The little fighter, an important and emotional milestone for the baby who's undergone pioneering surgery.
And when saints were sinners, 2 former soccer stars recall the times when pitch battles were the norm. Good evening to you. It is a frightening sign of our changing times. Children as young as 3 are being warned about the dangers posed by the internet.
For some parents, this may seem too young, but experts say it's essential that even preschool children understand the risks.
And to help get a complex message across to those so young, a special puppet play has been developed to try and help them. Malcolm Shaw has the story.
Yay, the Wonder Tablet!
It's the story of a little girl called Phoebe and her experiences online. Today, the puppet play was being performed to children at the Brighton and Hove Prep School, some as young as 3.
Knock upon the big red door is what the website says.
She reads on her parents' iPad about a creature called a penguin pig, and she decides to follow the instructions on the internet to find the penguin pig at the zoo, but what is inside is maybe not what it seems.
Phoebe's encounter with a virtual friend leads her into real danger, venturing out on her own, crossing busy roads and encountering fierce animals at the zoo. The message of the play not lost on the young audience.
Not to follow the internet because some of it isn't true.
Not to look on there without an adult as well.
Someone can follow you or something and you don't want that.
The puppet show has been commissioned as part of this year's Brighton Digital Festival.
It's about getting the children to understand that things on the internet may not be real, and they do have to be careful about what they are looking at, what they are searching for, and some of the results they may get back.
And that's a lesson which is taken very seriously here. These Year 6 students regularly use iPads and know the pitfalls.
You have to be careful who you give your details to.
With my email, it always goes via my dad.
If anyone ever tries to befriend you, always check with your parents first.
We've got a great tool at the NSPCC that will help parents. It's called NetAware, and it literally breaks down all of the places where children are enjoying and achieving online. That tells you everything you need to know. So how do I set privacy settings? What's the risk of stranger contact?
Oh, Phoebe. Not everything on the internet's real.
Whether we like it or not, this generation has been born into an online world. Many experts believe that teaching them how to handle that can't come too soon in their young lives. Malcolm Shaw, ITV News, Hove.
NHS staff in Dorset have been assaulted thousands of times in the last 5 years. That's according to latest figures. The attacks took place at the Dorset County Hospital Trust and the Dorset Healthcare University Foundation. Workers reported more than 5,000 physical assaults between April 2010 and 2015.
Demands for urgent improvements to one of the region's busiest and most important trunk roads have been backed today by one of the South's biggest employers. Southampton Docks Director Alistair Welch says it's vital the A34 is upgraded as soon as possible.
Thousands of lorries use the road every day, travelling from destinations in the Midlands and the North to the docks. But frequent accidents cause lengthy and costly delays. Here's Richard Jones.
In less than a year's time, a new 5-storey building to help the speedy export of cars will open on this site at Southampton Docks. It's part of a £50 million investment at the port, which already sends more than 500,000 cars to customers around the world. There will also be more jobs.
We see over 10,000 people locally working at the port, from the container industry to the cruise industry to the automotive handling and the other industries we support locally. And we see that continuing to grow as the port continues to thrive.
But that success depends on the newly made cars being able to get to Southampton from where they're made. And too often the region's busy roads hamper that. A third of the cars exported through here come by train, but road remains a vital link. The ones here in Southampton are already better than they used to be, but the port says that urgent improvements are needed on the links between the Midlands and the South Coast.
Key piece for us, frankly, the A34 is a key arterial route for us, and there are various points on that road which are certainly challenging, and we're working with the various agencies and LEPs and so on to see what we can do now and plan to do in the future to make sure that as the industry grows, if it is going to grow, we can help it do that.
Southampton already plays a key role in the British car industry. The port wants to ensure that clogged roads don't stand in the way of further success. Richard Jones, ITV News.
A man has been jailed for 15 years for having a gun and attempting to deal cocaine and heroin in Hampshire. Police say they hope the sentence imposed on Kandan Sivapaniam from London will send a message to violent gangs who travel from the capital to supply drugs in Portsmouth.
£8 million is to be spent expanding 3 schools in Hampshire. Additional places will be created at Oakridge Infant and Juniors in Basingstoke and the Butts and St Lawrence Primary in Alton.
A community theatre in Brighton has launched an urgent plea for funding to save it from closure. Actors are currently rehearsing a performance of Sweeney Todd at the venue 88 London Road. £5,000 is needed to keep it open.
One of the country's most endangered insects has been reintroduced on the South Downs. The wart-biter cricket was once widespread, but it's now only found in 5 locations, and 3 of those are in Sussex.
Villagers in Sussex are outraged at plans to put up a phone mast in a recreation ground which serves as a memorial to the fallen of the Great War. They say it's desecration of holy ground.
The field at Framfield near Uckfield was originally brought to honour all the men from the village who served in the war, and later 60 trees were planted in memory of those killed in combat. Derek Johnson has our report.
These are just some of the villagers who use the Framfield recreation ground. They include dog walkers and mums here for the children's playground. They're shocked at plans to put up a communications mast.
I just think that to put a mast here, it's going to drive people away. It's so beautiful, it shouldn't be here. It's the wrong place.
Villagers are wearing poppies to emphasise the link to the Great War. The field was bought on behalf of the survivors who made it home and wanted a place to remember and honour their comrades who weren't so lucky.
In 1923, they started to plant the trees in commemoration of the fallen. There aren't so many now, but there were 60 trees right around the green here, and each one would have a plaque at its foot. The impact of having these trees with the plaques on made it completely different from any other recreation ground. It's almost like a holy ground for us.
Sergeant William Harland is one of the fallen. He died of disease serving in Greece. This is his plaque, and this is the tree planted to remember him. The other original plaques have been retrieved over the years and are now kept together.
I personally believe it's desecration of the site. You destroy the reason that we all live in a village. We all live here because it's a rural community. And if you put a mast in here, it's no longer a rural community.
There are supporters who say the village needs the money being offered by developers. The company behind the application declined to comment. Wealdon Council will make a decision next month. Derek Johnson, ITV News, Framfield.
Indeed, you are watching ITV News here in the Meridian region. Thank you for choosing us on this Friday evening. We appreciate it. Coming up, Andrew Pate with all the sport, and Simon Parkin will have the weekend weather forecast. Plus,
why it's no longer apparently frowned upon to be told, get on your bike.
For more on all of our stories, do head to itv.com/Meridian. Any views or news, please give us a call, 0808 10 10 095, the number to ring, or get in touch via Facebook. Or should you prefer it, why not send us a tweet at ITV Meridian.
Now, a baby girl is finally back home with her family after a long stay in hospital thanks to pioneering surgery.
Gabriella Stern was born with rare and complicated conditions that allowed her vital organs to move around in her body.
Her parents are overwhelmed by what surgeons have done so far, but as Matthew Hudson reports, there's still a long way to go.
The sun was shining on Amy and Tom. Their daughter Gabriella is home from Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital after months of groundbreaking and life-saving treatment for extremely rare heart conditions.
Mixed emotions. It's just doesn't feel real at the moment. It still feels as though we're sort of borrowing her from the hospital. But it's lovely to have her home. So happy. She's been amazing. She's settled in so well at home, like she's never been away. So she's doing fantastic.
15-month-old Gabriella was born with 2 rare genetic conditions which severely affected her heart. She also has only 1 lung. That allowed her organs to move about in her body, putting her life at risk. Surgeons used pioneering technology to staple her heart to her ribs and fitted an artificial lung in an operation which would have been impossible until very recently. Gabriella was in Great Ormond Street for several months, her parents taking it in turns to stay with her a week at a time. The hospital told us, finally, after multiple surgical and medical treatments, we have reached the stage where, for the first time, and with incredible support from her family and local health care teams, we are able to discharge her home. Gabriella isn't out of the woods just yet. She still has to be ventilated because of complications with her bronchial tubes. But Amy and Tom, who have 2 other daughters, Alexis and Imogen, are now able to return to some kind of normal family life.
Financially, very hard, and emotionally, really difficult. But we've managed to pull through. I mean, it's not been good having our family torn apart and the girls not being with her sister. But now we're all together again. Super.
Gabriella will need more operations as she grows, but her family says she's a fighter. The future for all of them is suddenly a lot brighter. Matthew Hudson, ITV News.
Lovely to see her back, isn't it? Now, time now to find out what's making the headlines on the ITV National News. With all the details, here's Alistair Stewart.
Sentenced to die in jail, the killer of Becky Godden. The judge said Christopher Halliwell, who'd killed before, was callous and devious. Police say he may have killed even more. The Information Commissioner says she has tough questions for Yahoo, as it admits 500 million of its customers' accounts were hacked. And the apprentice mariners from Scotland marooned off Singapore as their shipping line goes broke. Join Ranveer Singh and me at 6:30.
We will, thank you. Now, it's only been a few weeks since Team GB's medal haul at the Rio Olympics, but it seems our region has definitely been inspired by their success.
Velodromes or indoor cycling training centres like one in Calshot in Hampshire are reporting a huge rise in people signing up for taster sessions.
And it's all great timing for organisers of the country's biggest cycle show. They are expecting huge crowds this weekend, as Matt Price will tell us.
Has a gold rush in Rio sparked a surge in the popularity of pedal power? Ask anyone here and they certainly think so.
Hi, I'm Chris Holman. I'm the organiser of the Cycle Show 2016. Definitely you've seen people out on their bikes a lot more. The shops are reporting that they're selling a lot more stock in the last 2 months or whatever. And again, obviously that's been borne out in our visitor numbers. It's certainly looking very healthy.
And with a growing industry, a growing number of exhibitors here. Among them, inventor Mark, who's travelled from Brighton to showcase his portable rear-view cycle mirror.
It opens up, extends, and you put your hands on your handlebars like so.
You can see any traffic
and you can see behind you. Traffic, absolutely. But more importantly, it's about keeping an eye on your cycling partner, making sure they're safe and still behind you.
Organisers say they're expecting around 30,000 people at the exhibition over the course of the weekend, and with Team GB's emphatic success in cycling in Rio, it's perhaps not surprising. In fact, velodromes right across the country have reported a massive increase in people signing up for taster sessions. Team GB cyclists brought home 11 medals from the Games in Rio, Jason Kenny joining an elite list of the most decorated Olympians ever. And there was success for our Paralympians in the velodrome as well. Sarah Story picking up 3 gold medals.
Absolutely, yeah. This is the actual bike that Alistair Brownlee won in Rio. So.
Perhaps right that this is an exhibition turned museum then, with the Olympic gold medal winning bike of triathlete Alistair Brownlee proudly shown off by those who built it.
It's what's called an aerodynamic road bike. So the tube profiles are specifically designed in a wind tunnel to cut through the air as cleanly as possible. Same with the fork profile as well. The wheels as well, really lightweight, really aerodynamic. It is, every part of this bike has been designed for one purpose, now it's just propelling the athlete as quickly as possible.
So be it high speed or high vis, there's bound to be something here for you. Granted, you might not be as quick as Jason Kenny or Alistair Brownlee, so it's a good job you've got plenty of time to explore. The show is on until Sunday. Matt Price, ITV News.
Let's now continue that sporting theme and some real hard men coming up. And here's another one, Andrew Pates.
Yes, indeed, mate. Right. Bournemouth's manager, Eddie Howe, is calling on his players to show the spirit and determination that saw them do well in the Premier League last season. Everton are the visitors tomorrow, but when they came last time, the Cherry snatched a late equaliser, showing they were a team that just wouldn't give up.
That game was a turning point because we showed all those things. We showed we're not here to just play. We have a special ability to find ways to get results in tough situations, and I think it was that unique spirit that kept us up last season, allied to our ability. And if we could to do the same this season, we're going to need to find that again.
So it's Bournemouth at home to Ronald Koeman's Everton, while Southampton travel to West Ham's London Stadium on Sunday. In the Championship, Reading host top-of-the-table Huddersfield, while Brighton face newly promoted Barnsley, who are flying high in 4th place.
Not only playing well, but scoring a lot of goals, which is difficult in this division, particularly when you're a team that it's new. You know, this division in effect is new this season to them. So credit to them. At the moment, they're doing a lot of things right, and the fact that they're doing a lot of things right, it means that for us to get a result tomorrow, we're going to have to make sure to do a lot of things right.
In League One, Swindon travel to Oldham, while Oxford United are looking for their 4th home win in a row against Charlton. In League Two, Crawley head to Morecambe, and Portsmouth may use young hotshot Connor Chaplin as they look to return to winning ways against Barnet. Now back to a time when the football hard men roamed the pitches across the country. A new book's been published about the Southampton Tough Guys. And it's not for the faint-hearted. It was rough and uncompromising. The Saints, who were also sinners. 2 of the stars of a new book have come together to remember when football really was a contact sport. Jimmy Case telling me how he used to keep an eye on the opposition hard men.
One of the so-called enforcers, if you want to call them in them days, they get about the pitch. And what it is, they unsettle our more gifted players like Matt Letizia. They try to, get stuck into them, so they put them off the game. But that's my job in the sense, to get in between or go over there and say, well, you can't be doing that all the game. So that's a nice, polite way of putting it.
Francis Benali only scored 1 goal during his 389 Southampton appearances, but he was sent off 11 times.
I think it's a shame that it's been taken out of the game to a degree, especially when we see an awful lot of the modern players now, the slightest contact, slightest touch, and they're going to ground or they're rolling around when they're not injured at all, really. So that's a little bit of frustration and disappointment in some ways as a fan now, but I wish there were a little bit more of the tackling that were allowed in our day still in the game today.
The book looks at all the Southampton hard men, but says Jimmy Case was the hardest of them all.
There's a great quote in the book from Neil Ruddock where he saw Jimmy clatter somebody and said, "What have you done that for? He's done nothing wrong." And Jimmy said, "Well, not today, but 5 years ago he did." And then another quote from Neil Ruddock, he said that in my day, you didn't want your opponent to be sent off, you wanted him to stay on so you could kick him again.
Yep, the good old days.
And it was tough then.
Well, it was tough. I mean, they were hard men, but that didn't tell the whole story, did it?
No, absolutely. When I spoke to the author afterwards, I said, you know, is there anything that links all of these players? And he said, yeah, they were so tough on the pitch, but off it, the nicest guys you could meet. Like Francis Benali, they're doing his big charity challenge next week.
True, yeah.
The loveliest chaps you can meet, but you wouldn't want to meet them on the pitch.
Smashing, Andrew. Thanks very much.
Now, this one would be more at home in the Caribbean, but a huge seabird has been found washed up on the Sussex coast.
Yes, it's the first time a red-footed booby has ever been seen in this country, apart from me. The bird was on its last legs when an animal lover came to its rescue.
Now, the booby is being nursed back to health, ready to be flown thousands of miles back home. Malcolm Shaw has the story.
If it looks a little lost, that's hardly surprising. This red-footed booby is at least 4,000 miles from home. The seabird was found on the beach at St Leonard's, exhausted and bedraggled. Now it's being expertly cared for at the RSPCA's rehabilitation centre, Malledams Wood. But how did it stray so far?
We know that there was a storm just before its arrival, or a hurricane I should say, and so it could have been swept up across the Atlantic by the hurricane. Also they are ship assisted as well, so it could have hitched a lift on a boat over to this country. These little red-footed boobies spend an awful lot of their time on coral atolls, islands, breeding mangroves, breeding trees, and they seem very tame.
Oh, look at you, you are such a survivor. How amazing.
Today, the booby had a very special visitor. It was animal lover Gail Cohen who first spotted the bird and alerted East Sussex Wildlife Rescue to come and save it. Gail recognised the species from her own globetrotting.
I've been on several trips with my daughter visiting animals in the wild. We've been to Africa, we were lucky enough to go to Galapagos, and I think I have an affiliation with all things feathered and fowl and feet, you know, and I love animals and I love birds, and I just knew instinctively. It was very lucky it came to me and I was there.
As an ocean-going bird, the red-footed booby enjoys a gentle water spray. It's the first time the species has ever been spotted in Britain, but it won't be staying. Instead, plans are in place to fly the booby back across the Atlantic to complete its recovery at a sanctuary in Florida. Malcolm Shaw, ITV News, Hastings.
But it's not a baby as we thought.
So he's going to some sunshine, lucky him. But Simon's here with more things that are unusual.
Yes, something that you wouldn't expect to see at this time of year. Have a look at this picture from Carolyn Pitkin. I know what you're thinking, it's just a pear.
Yes.
Where you see those on trees at this time of year, of course you do. However, you don't normally see them on the same tree as some blossom. Look, spring blossom. And just to make it a pair of pears, Holly's mother-in-law Janet has got one doing the same thing as well. Look, equally as confused, here is an apple tree that Peter Brown in Burgess Hill saw at Ditchling Common with yet more blossom on it. And, well, we're speaking of apples. This came in from Warren Primary School, where one of the children, Brooke, found a smiley apple just outside her classroom. It gave us all a chuckle, they said on their email. This, believe it or not, isn't an apple. It's actually a tomato, grown by Richard Lucas in Dorchester, 4 inches across, and he says it said on the pot, cherry tomato. Got to be the biggest ever, surely. And here is another confused fruit. It does look like grapes that Barry in Chelsea in Oxfordshire was growing, but actually that's a tomato as well, and this is what it looks like now that it's ripened. But my favourite tomato came in from Peter Pope in Kennington, and depending on which way you look at it, it's either got a fantastic moustache or brilliant eyebrows. But Meridian Weather at ITV.com. If you find anything a little unusual in your greenhouse at this time of year, we'd love to see a picture of it.
And thanks to all our viewers, as ever.
For sending in some brilliant pictures,
Decent weekend?
Do you know, it's not going to be too bad, Fred.
Not going to be too bad. Let's get the full facts now from Simon Parkin.
From blizzards to pool, driving through Europe. Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Well, if like Gareth, you were out first thing this morning, dog walk or not, then you'll have spotted the day. It was a lovely start to the day. And B, it wasn't very warm. Temperatures, in fact, got down to 2.4 degrees in South Newington in Oxfordshire last night. Not going to be that cold tonight, but it will still be a little chilly. Down into single figures again in some rural spots with clear skies. Bit of patchy cloud, perhaps even an odd spot of mist here and there, but that won't last very long tomorrow morning, and it will be a largely fine start. Plenty of decent sunny spells as we head through tomorrow, and the temperatures are going to creep up as well, because the winds will increase and they're going to bring up mild air from the near continent. So by tomorrow afternoon we could see highs of around 22, 23 degrees, which is pretty good going for this time of year. As for your high tide times, you can see in Brighton 5:25 in the morning, then 5 to 6 in the evening. Then tomorrow night it all changes. A band of rain passes through, and once that's cleared off on Sunday, after a bit of a damp start, things will be brighter but also a bit cooler as well.
Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Now in just a moment, the ITV Evening News with Alistair Stewart and Ranveer Singh.
Stacey's got our late news, so do join her if you can. But for now, from the team here at ITV Meridian, thanks very much indeed for watching. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll all see you again on Monday. Till then, take care.
Good night.
I'm going to clip you.